All right, hey everyone. So watching some storms here this evening, obviously, and one got a little carried away, produced a brief tornado as it worked its way through the Moore area in I-35. Didn't last very long, but they did sound the sirens in that area. Right now, looking for any damage reports that have come in. It was short-lived. The tornado warning is going to continue to remain, though, heading up as it moves its way toward Choctaw. So we're going to cover that here on radar. So here's a big view right now of the velocity data. So we're zoomed in here to the southeast side of Oklahoma City. So this is on the east side of Midwest City right now, again north of I-40 from the split, just northwest of Tinker. So this will be coming on the southeast side of Spencer. So we'll track in kind of where the closest circulation center is, like the best intersection. So basically it's kind of along Southeast 15th Street and also right around South Post Road. It's a very weak circulation at this point, so odds are the tornado is already lifted. We can watch it here though for a little while just to make sure it re-intensify. But Southeast 15th and just west of South Post Road is where it currently is located, moving to the northeast. Let's see, so there was a confirmed tornado at one point there for a few minutes. Having some issues when I was going on the air, of course, because that's the way those things work. But regardless, it has lifted at this point and continues to work its way to the north and east. So we'll see if this thing kind of re-intensifies. There was another storm southwest of here at one point that had a little bit of rotation with it near Cox City and Bray, but no warnings for that one. And then down here, Waurika, also kind of some weak mid-level circulation. So those are two other storms, kind of keep an eye on, but right now they're not tornadic. A lot of the storms are kind of having a little bit of lower and mid-level rotation with them because the low-level jets kicked in this evening and things are a little on the spinning side a little bit as far as the atmosphere is concerned. It's not overly impressive, but it's just enough to maybe try to do something. So this one right here, it was kind of touch and go for a while, and then it kind of just spun up just a little bit briefly. And right now, still on the east side of Midwest City, South Caldwell Drive is the intersection of this one. This is on 15th Street, so that's the where the last location here on radar was located. Let's see. Let's get to path on this and time of arrival. Assuming that it still holds together, and that's a big assumption. It should not here more than just a few more minutes. But it's a tornado warning that is in effect for eastern Oklahoma City. Now the polygon is going to continue to cover a lot more areas than what's really being affected. But we'll just go ahead and put it in here in the warning labeling. So that's eastern Edmond, Midwest City, Dale City, Choctaw, Hera, Spencer, Jones, Tacoma Park, Luther, Arcadia, Tinker Air Force Base, Forest Park, and Smith Village. So that's the actual polygon that contains the warning. Now remember, not everybody's going to see the tornado because that's a very small, very tiny, right, artifact that we're tracking. So if you want to get down to it, obviously we're in the street level by street level at that point, but general consensus here on timeline is right around next couple minutes. Nakoma Park and Choctaw as well. Jones coming up around 154. Luther 212, Wellston 227, and then Fallis as well. So that right now is the latest on this particular tornado warned storm. So be in your shelters, slowest floor, away from all outside walls and windows. Same thing we tell you each time. Nothing ever changes in that regard, just because you don't want any flying debris coming in if the windows were to shatter. And then, if you have anything you can put on top of you, like when you're, say for example, you're in your bathtub, or if you got a mattress, sure, you can throw it on top of you. It's just pretty much anything that's going to protect you from anything that flies in from a broken glass. Well-built, sturdy shelters will be just fine. These are very weak tornadoes. This would be like an E of 0 at this point, just because the velocity data is so weak at this point. So easily survivable. Adequate shelter, and even as E of 0s, mobile homes, manufactured homes actually hold up pretty well to an E of 0. I don't recommend riding out in one ever in that case, but that's, in other words, that's just kind of the strength we're talking about. So that's good news. So if you do have a tornado, it's good to have it on the lowest end of the Fujita scale. Again, that's a damage scale that we correlate wind speed with, based off the survey after the tornado moves through. Okay, so that's the big picture of what's happening right now. So we did have a little brief tornado warned storm as it was coming in to the north sides of Moore, north of Norman, and then now moving through southeast Oklahoma City, Oklahoma County, and then now moving on into the eastern sides of Oklahoma County. Looks like to me the latest data, I can look through three different radars here. And the circulation center has lifted on that one. Let's check this one out. Pretty much lifted here as well. And this guy here is the last known location. North Wyke Oak Street and North Cedar Drive. This is just southwest of North Westminster and East Reno Avenue, kind of just in that little section there. All right, let's see here. We'll see if that re-intensifies, but right now it's not. Let's go to this guy here. Another view, different radar source. I got 3 different radars I'm pulling up just to make sure we got a view it from 3 different angles. And yeah, it's still gone, so that's good. They're going to keep the warning because it may try to re-intensify. And so if that's the case, then obviously you want to make sure that the warning is still ongoing for that purpose. And let's see here. Let's try this out. Okay, so again, I'm just live here because I was watching these storms this evening to see if any of them tried to produce a tornado. There was one earlier, I want to say it was like around 10 o'clock or something in Seminole County. It's the south of Shawnee. There looked like a little brief, tiny tornado that may have lasted 30 seconds in that area. And that was it. There was no tornado warning officially. It was too quick in and gone. Then we watched this storm coming in around Cole here in the southwest part of the metro. It had a little rotation with it, then it fell apart, and then it picked itself back up just as it got to I-35 around the Moore area a few minutes ago. And it lasted just for a little while and lifted, and then now we're watching to see if it kind of tries to re-intensify and touch down again. So we're just looking at different radar views. Like this is the circulation center, which is going right over Nakoma Park, what's left of it, just on the intersection of North Westminster. And let's see, it'll be just in the southwest part of Northwest 23rd Street. So that's the last part of the center of circulation within that one. All right, so that, again, sorry about you guys' Instagram. As I tried something new today, it worked fine earlier, and then it made everything else mess up here a moment ago, so I had to start it all over. That wasn't just you, that was Facebook too. They didn't play nice with one another. We'll eventually get all these bugs worked out. But anyway, so again, we're watching to see if the tornado redevelops or re-intensifies, and so far it has not. And it may not, which is good news, obviously. Let me see if anything else has popped up while we're watching that one. Let's see, Cox City. That's still that little area of weak rotation down here. By the way, these algorithms that predict the possibility of a tornado, this one around Cox City is about 30%. All right. Now, the one that moved through Oklahoma City earlier, when it actually did produce one, I believe it got to like 75. I'm going to back this up because I'm going to show you when this thing was kind of doing its deal where it finally, here we go, right here. Okay, so this is just one that's on the northeast side of Moore. So this is right when it started to ramp up here. This is on southeast 10th, 104th, and where were we? Sunny Lane, South Sunny Lane. Okay, so that's where we started to see the circulation start to develop a little bit. Now, it was still weak at that point, but I think it was a couple of frames after that is when things got a little bit better. And here, the probability of a tornado was at 75%. So that was the difference. So when that probability threshold hit the mid-70s, and that is when we had the official confirmed tornado development. And that was right along 77 and 240. So that was the intersection of where that thing touched down. Like I said, it didn't last. It was only a couple of scans. So it didn't last long, which was good. Sometimes those trails don't last long at all. They're quick. But that's 2 scans, and that's only about a 2-minute window from when they were developed, touchdown, and then lifted. All right, so that was it for that one. So that was the main intersection. What did I say? 240 and let's go back. Yeah, 77. Okay, so it was like 240 and 77 is basically where that thing touched down briefly, that little intersection. Okay, so that's the only tornado warning storm at this point in time. Let's see. We'll see if this one down here in Cox City does anything. So I'll watch it here for a few minutes. The rest of the Oklahoma City Metro, just more rain, some heavy, a little bit of lightning here and there. Picked up about 1.5 inches this late evening from the secondary wave that's moved in. So that's where we're going to have flash flooding. So we do have some flash flood warnings in effect as well, besides just this leftover tornado warning storm. Let's see, probability of a tornado is still holding at 65%, so it hasn't ramped down in the algorithms yet. In other words, it's cooled down to where it's not a threat. But when I look at the data, those algorithms are delayed. There's a lag, both when they ramp up and when they come down. And the velocity data is non-existent right now for that type of a outcome. So that's good news. So I got nothing but good news right now in the tornado warning storm. The Weather Service, usually what they do is they allow the warning to either expire on its own, or if there's completely no threat of all, they'll cancel it early. But usually they're not in a rush to cancel it early because they'd rather people just be prepared in case it were to redevelop. Sometimes it does happen. They go through little life cycles. And it may. So that's why. So we'll just leave it and we'll just watch it here for a few minutes. Let's see here. Probability of a tornado still holding about 63%. Okay, so let's go back to the warning on this. Okay. Let's see, it was moving to the northeast at about 24 miles per hour. The warning goes until about 2 a.m., so another 10 more minutes. Let's see. So let's see. The last update was about 7 minutes ago. Severe storm capable of producing a tornado was located near Tacoma Park, moving northeast at 25. Radar indicated rotation. So standard stuff. That's a standard warning in a tornado warning storm. Let's see. They did put in there Interstate 44 between mile marker 139 and 150. And let's see here. So potential impacted locations with the storm itself, not just the tornado area, but just the storm itself, is northeastern Oklahoma City, eastern Edmond, Midwest City, Choctaw, Hera, Spencer, Jones, Nakoma Park, Luther, and Arcadia. All right. Now what happens is when we get the actual tornado to form, if it does, again, what we do is we can do street by street, so tell you which intersections it's at, and then with the movement, that we're moving to the northeast, then we can tell you ahead of time where the city intersections, street intersections may be, and then any towns or cities in the path. So we track tornadoes way differently than we used to, 20 years ago. So this is extremely finesse, high resolution data and information that you get. In the old days, they'd warn the entire county, and everybody takes shelter. Now, really only take shelter if you're within that city block and the next few city blocks that we track ahead of time. Okay. So I flipped through a lot of different radar programs. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 loaded. They have different sources. And I just go through this so I don't miss anything, because each radar program will show something a little different, and then each radar has a little different angle, a little different elevation to the storm. So I can just flip them through real quick. That way I always have the latest data and it comes in fast. So this particular point, let's see here, this little leftover area of circulation, if you want to call it. Let's see here. So we're on Wilshire, Britain, and it is McDonald Road, coming up on Triple X Road. So this is on the east side of Jones, north side of Choctaw. That's what's left over of this thing, this little green area you see, which is right here. All right. So this is the reflectivity. In other words, the heavy rain that you're used to seeing on the left. This is the velocity data on the right. The velocity data is what we look at for the winds. And then we just check to see if you have basically red and green come together at a very small area, and we call that a couplet. So we will look for those to match, and then they have to be increase in speed, wind speeds. This particular wind speed, if I go over here, it's 49, 50 miles per hour outbound in that area, and inbound in that area is only like 15, 10. So in other words, this is not a triadic situation, and it would have to change dramatically for that to happen. All right, let's see these other guys. I'll check that one out in southwest Oklahoma, because the wind speed's actually up pretty good on that one. Let's go see here. Let's see. It's Fort Waurika in Hastings. So this is just really good mid-level wind flow in here. So in other words, the storm's got some decent mid-level rotation with it. Doesn't have anything low level that would indicate a tornado at this point, but it just has a lot of mid-level spin. But that can happen in this environment, so that's pretty much standard. I mean, we're going to expect that for any of these little isolated storms that happen over the southern half of the state, kind of bounded by I-40 southward is the favored region. Let's see. All right, so the only thing I see right now, then again, the other one we were watching for, it was here. So that's 2. These little individual isolated cells have an opportunity. So let's go back closer to home. Let's see if anything's happened here to this thing yet. Do not see it. The algorithm has dropped down, so there's 36% probability of a tornado. If you can't read it on that screen, let me see if this one updated. I'm not able to turn this one on. Where is it? No. Alright, let's try this one. that little bitty teeny tiny spot that's left. It's not a big deal at this point. It's good news. So the Weather Service will allow the warning to expire here in a couple of minutes. Flash flood warning will continue for the southern parts of Oklahoma City Metro. So that's not going to change. And that's really the main threat is flash flooding. We just have like this additional nuisance threat for small, weak, little quick tornadoes that can just pop up if they can get underneath a cell that's well defined. And it took all evening for that to happen, and all day, just so you know. So that wasn't easy to do. Let's see. Let me see. Let me wait here for a second. Okay, so one of my chasers, Chance, he said he had some debris falling on him on 240. So it's interesting. I'm not sure how the whole Instagram Live thing works. I've got it on, but how you find it is a whole different issue. Because I'm really not sure. Because mine doesn't even show up on my own phone. So we'll see how well that goes. It was something different I wanted to try this year. So I got it to work, but... All right. Let's see here. So let's see. The original tornado warning will expire here in a couple of minutes, but what they decided to do was issue another one just in case it redevelops. Let's see. Yeah, so this is a, we call it CYA, if you know what that means, just in case there's a redevelopment. Again, the leftover circulation is coming in around the Luther area. Again, nothing tornadic on radar at this point, just where the pockets of wind is left. Let's see here. Here's a nice little batch of wind around Blanchard. Let's see, it's around 70 plus miles per hour. So you are going to have some pockets of wind in some of these thunderstorms that's unrelated to tornadoes or anything, like we have there. So that's southeast of Middleburg. Intersection here is County Line Road and 1330 and County Street 2970. So that's just west of South County Line Road and the other County Line Road, 1335. All right, so you guys have a little gust of wind in your backyard for that one. I can, let's see here. What else? So what we'll do is I'll get the update on that new warning. Just want to make sure these guys don't do anything crazy yet. This is that one near Blanchard. It may try to do something. We'll see. So the intersection for Luther, for where this old circulation is, it's right over the new turnpike, and we'll call it 335, but Kickapoo Turnpike. So where that splits, where you got the Governor Ray Joseph and then the Kickapoo. So basically the old and new turnpikes. So this on the south side of Luther there. And that is where that leftover location is located for the weak circulation. All right, so let's go to the warning. Let's see on this guy and time of arrival. Let's see. Yeah, we'll do this one. Okay, so of course Luther now, basically the next few minutes, and then we have Phallus at 216, Kearney 228, Tryon at 236, Perkins at 243, and Agra at 244. Communities involved within this particular new tornado-warned polygon that goes until 245. Moving to the northeast at 35 miles per hour, so they picked up the speed a little bit. Let's see, northeastern Oklahoma City, eastern Edmond, Jones, Luther, Wellston, Warwick, and Phallus. So there was a little bit of tornado damage around 70th and Sooner Road. Some fences, tree limbs. Okay, so again, just north of the turnpike here, this little red and green area, that's where our leftover circulation is. So Luther, just stay in your shelters for this area to pass over you. Again, we have not had any official touchdown or confirmation from a tornado in quite a while. We had that brief one, which is now removed from 30 minutes ago, maybe at this point. But this thing could re-intensify and come back down. So what we're watching for is this little tight area now that's the colors are starting to get a little smaller together, tightening up a little bit. So we might have a secondary touchdown developing. Let's see here. So that's going to be over northeast 178th. And just west of Luther Road. So that's where that intersection is of that last spinning motion in the atmosphere. So we'll see if the new data comes in the next radar scan to see if that tightens up any. So that's the only tornado warned storm at this point. I don't see anything else. See what this one looks like. All right, so it's going to be on the west side of town, so west of Main Street and 178th. Coming up on the Chicken Shack is where this is probably going to cross over on Danforth Road. Okay. Probability of a tornado is down at 36%, so it's even lower. Rotation signature for it here on the left side, just turn on that product, is pretty low, pretty weak. See if that changes any. It's down here around Blanchard, Middleburg. We still have those winds around the area. Let's see, and I'm up around 600 feet, so about 50, 55 mile per hour winds feeding into that storm down here. Nothing has come back to show an indication of rotation for tornado production yet. So we'll see if that changes. So we'll keep that there. All right. Okay, so we're still focused on the Luther area. That scan looked much weaker, more diffuse. Let's see what this one does. Same thing. I'm going to move this radar down here. Keep an eye on this guy. Yeah, it's already fallen apart. So what's left of it on 66 and Luther Road? Let's go to this guy. Alright, so this velocity data has just fallen apart completely. Alright, so that's good news. So no imminent threat of a tornado at all for this region. Now, I always say this, a caveat, because obviously you need to take a tornado warning seriously. You need to just be thankful that there's nothing reported on the ground and that the radar has shown that nothing has organized. But regardless of that information, what you do with it is you breathe a bigger sigh of relief while you seek shelter. So that's how you want to look at it. So in other words, if your sirens have gone off, your weather radio's gone off, my app, if you're using my weather app, AT's Weather to Go, if it went off and it said, hey, it's tornado warning for you, seek shelter. Don't sit there and just stare out your window. It's always the center part of the home, lowest floor, away from all outside walls and windows if you don't have a storm shelter. So that's the location of this. Again, it's north of Luther now, about a mile. What's left of it, there's nothing there at all that would indicate tornadic activity. The warning is going to last until, what did we say, like 45 minutes after the hour, I think it was. What does this go for? Yeah, until 1:45. Now, they may cancel it. If this little leftover batch of wind here completely dissipates, they may cancel it early. Until then, they'll probably just keep an eye on it. Let's see, so that view doesn't show anything. This view doesn't show anything, so it's good. All my radar views are showing nothing going on for that one. I'm going to go back to the southwest side of the metro. Let's take a look at that one. Our little Blanchard guy down here. Alright, so this is where we're right along the highway. So 76 and State Highway 74B. So that is the last bit of this little changeover of color is transpiring. It's now moved up to 280th. It's nothing yet to get excited about. It's just that's where we would focus on if something were to change as it moves basically from here to here to here to here. But that's a 20-minute jog of a process that may not even do anything, but that's where we'd focus on, where that little enhancement of wind is. Okay. So let's take a look at the Stevens County storm. That's in southwest Oklahoma. Just down here around Duncan. Alright, so remember a while back we took a look at this. It had some wind with it at the time. It wasn't doing much. Well, this is a really big indication of a strong mid-level mesocyclone. That's around 4,000 feet elevation. And actually, honestly, this could be a little bit of a tornado down here as well. It's already formed. If you want me to be honest with you. Yeah, so we have like we might actually already have a tornado, if not in progress, one this close to being in progress. This is south of Comanche, so be in your shelters. This is on Highway 2810, excuse me, Road 2810, south of 1840. So 1 mile south of that intersection is where this potential tornado is located. Let's get about 2 miles south-southwest of town. This is in Stevens County. So this is in southern Oklahoma, north of Waurika. So there we go. Tornado warning has just been issued. So let's go see what the warning statement is on that one. So we'll leave our Luther one here for a minute. We'll zip down here. Let's do All right, so this tornado warning goes until 2:30 in the morning. Duncan, Comanche, and Velma. The path here, Comanche's got about one, well, right now, of course. That makes sense. It was just a mile south of you. But it didn't have any other direct communities or towns in that storm track of where the tornado would go. So that's the difference. Okay, let's see. So it's a... Let's click on that one. This tornado warning, let's see, goes for central Stevens County until 1:30. A storm capable of producing a tornado is located in Comanche, moving northeast at 35. Golf ball size hails also possible. So obviously they tell you to watch out for flying debris. Mobile homes are not a good place to seek shelter from a tornado. Center part of the home away from all outside walls and windows. I can switch radar views. And we'll see what the data looks like on this one. And it's a little messy. So be in your shelters for the town of Comanche until this storm moves past you. So basically the algorithm's having some de-aliasing trouble, so it doesn't know what colors to put on the map right here. It's folded over. So that's your trouble spot as far as just your circulation feature goes. It won't be able to pick the exact pixel spot of where the tornado would be until the data gets cleaned up a little bit. But that's the area that we're focused on. So again, stay in your shelters. This is for southern Oklahoma or even southwest Oklahoma. Depends on how you want to slice it. West of there is a squall line developing that'll be moving its way to the east. Oklahoma City will be on the north end of this. We'll probably get a mesolow that forms on the north side. So we'll probably get some occasional wind around here with some very heavy rainfall. All right, let's go back home and closer. See how this guy's doing in Blanchard. So you can see how it's just a gradual development. Our little area that I talked about is expanding just a little bit at a time. This little batch here is some pretty strong winds aloft. It's up around 62 miles per hour here. And this is coming in around Newcastle. And this is on MacArthur and Southwest 24th Street. So we shall see if anything develops out of that. Our Luther guy, nothing going. So that's good news. So we'll watch to see if this Blanchard one does anything over the next few minutes. Let's see here. This one also shows our Luther guy fell apart. It's good news. Again, stay in your shelters if you are under the tornado warning in Fallis. Here on the west side of Wellston, you're in that polygon, so you probably were alerted that you had a tornado warned storm nearby. Now, in theory, they could just cancel the warning at this point, and they might. It's up to them if they want to let it ride, because it's another 30 minutes this warning's supposed to go till. Looks like I see a few cars that were flipped over in a neighborhood. Looks like a couple of homes were hit on the south side of Oklahoma City. And right around Sooner and 240. That's where that damage is located. That's where we actually have a good radar indication on radar at that moment. Okay, let's see here. So our little Blanchard's hotspot here is High Ridge Trail. Okay, just got a new scan in. It's like how quickly that has developed. You see that? Now we've got a nice bright green spot. So this one's trying to form a tornado here. All right, so that is on Highway 9. The Bailey Turnpike and Northeast 70th Street. So that's the intersection of where this looks like to try to develop a new tornado. This will be coming in south of Newcastle. 1, 2, 3, about 3.5 miles southwest of you guys. Right along 62. So the intersection where this will cross over, if it were to continue to develop, is going to be about, let's see. So that's going to be Southwest 24th Street and North MacArthur Boulevard. So that's about where the next intersection this is going to come up on. So this will be our secondary tornado here in the metro area that is developing. Yeah, there's our little rotation product indicator. Probability of a tornado has gone up to 72%. So that is when the last one was triggered, when it hit a track development in the algorithms. So guys in Newcastle, be in your shelters. This is not a tornado warned storm from the National Weather Service yet, but we're watching it develop live on radar. So go ahead and be in your shelters anyways. We can always see and hope that it were to dissipate, but for right now, that looks like it should be our next tornado. Let's zip down here. All right, and this on currently Rockwell Avenue and south of Northeast 70th. Okay, new scan just came in here on this guy. All right, so it's back now on Southwest 24th and east of Rockwell, coming up on South Country Club Road. All right, so that is where the intersection is of what looks to be a developing tornado here. Let's go back to this guy. Now the inbound wind to the radar has weakened a little bit compared to the outbound. If I go back a frame, had some purple range folding in there, of course, because that masked what it looked like. Let's see if this one had a better view up here. It did. Yeah, right there was a good view. There and there. It's still a little broad, but it is tightening up. Yeah, if we look at the CC, which is the cross-correlation coefficient of the dual pole NextRad product, see how that was low and then split? That indicates damage. In other words, it indicates that yes, that was a tornado we were looking at this whole time. All right, so from here to here, I go back there, 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 okay? So in other words, we did have a tornado in this zone right here. It was a weak one because the colors that we see on the map changed to kind of this little green with one spot of blue. If it was a big, strong tornado and it hit a lot of debris, this would have been all blue that filled in right here. And it did not. So that means it was a weak, small tornado, but it was one regardless. And if you notice, there was no tornado warning at the time. But we tracked it live with Doppler radar. Now, why they didn't issue the warning, I don't know. Maybe they were busy looking at something, midnight shift, graveyard shift, who knows. But now they've got a warning out for it, just came out. So they do have a tornado on this storm now for you guys in Newcastle. So you guys have already been in your shelters, so just stay there. It's coming into, it's about a mile here from that intersection of, let's see, East Fox Lane, West Fox Lane, and South Meridian Avenue. It's about a mile southwest of there. So that is our secondary tornado warned storm. So let's zoom in over here. That'll expire at 3, moving to the northeast at 38 miles per hour. So we've got Oklahoma City, Western Norman, Moore, Midwest City, Dell City, Newcastle, Bethany, Choctaw, War Acres, Nichols Hill, Valley Brook, Tinker Air Force Base, Forest Park, and Smith Village. So that is this next tornado. Time of arrival, of course, Newcastle now. We've got Moore 135, Valley Brook 141, Dell City 147, Smith Village, and Midwest City at 151. Spencer and Nakoma Park, and Choctaw and Jones after that, assuming that it holds together. That's a big assumption, but that's the path it would take. Okay, let's go check out our guy down here real quick. So the one that moved out of Comanches is our donut hole looking circulation in the reflectivity data. Still got our garbled velocity data, but that's still down there where we're focused on. So the circulation will be right about here. And that's right along, let's see, where are we at? South Comanche Lake Road and Oliver Road. That's the intersection of that particular tornado coming up on Highway 7 and North Road 2880. So if you're out here in Stevens County, east of Duncan, northeast of Comanche, stay in your shelters for this particular tornado warned storm, passing west of Velma. So right now, going over some unpopulated areas, which is good. All right, so back here to Newcastle. Again, stay in your shelters. This particular tornado warned storm, West Fox Lane, is where it's currently residing, right along 62, just west of 62, on the west side. Looks like a small tornado at this point. Does have just, it's a weak rotation signature on it. Let's see here. Anything else? No. Look, quick check of our Luther phallus one. It's fine. Nothing there. All right. So it's just right now here for the metro. This Newcastle circulation that we got to work with. Now moving up on Northwest 16th Street, just on the west side of 62. So west side of 62, Northwest 16th. Now this is going to come on that split. Many of you have driven it on 44 in Newcastle when it drops south on 62 and the Bailey Turnpike. So that'll be the next major intersection it'll be coming up on if it holds together. So be in your shelter if you live on the southwest of Oklahoma City, down toward Newcastle. That's where this particular developing tornado has been located. Moving to the northeast at about 35, I think it was, roughly. Still has a broad debris signature right here, again, which indicates a weak signature, but one nonetheless. Let's go to another radar view here. Let's go to this one. Now this signature is much weaker. Time. Yeah, this one's really weakened. It may be over. It's spread out. It's not nearly as tightly packed. We've got too much of a spread in our colors over too large of an area. So I think basically it went up, kind of diffused, and a lot of the debris just kind of did one of these little things and spread out, kind of fell out. So if you look at the debris path, it's elongated, which is over a 1-2 mile area basically. So usually that means you don't have an active tornado when it has a pattern like this where it's light and diffuse. But stay in your shelters regardless, in case it does decide to strengthen back up. And this will be moving into the southwest side of Oklahoma City. So this is a tornado warned storm for the Newcastle area. Probability of a tornado is only 19% in the algorithms. Now remember, that dropped. It was 69% here, and I think when it peaked it was 70. I thought I saw 72 at one point, or maybe that was the one down south. This was 49 there. I know we saw 69 at least, and now we are at 19%. So if you notice, the algorithms have gone downward. So again, that usually means that the indices that would help to create the tornado are no longer there. So what's left over as far as the area of circulation, albeit extremely weak, is in that region here now, east of that junction of 44 and 62. So northeast 24th Street and coming up on North Portland Avenue. Let's take a look at this one. Yep. Okay. Let's see. Our guy down here in Comanche. Data's a little cleaner now finally, but that is where that particular tornado is located. And again, there's no ETA for a path of arrival, so that's good news. Again, it's between major towns. I'm sure there's going to be at least a couple of farmhouses somewhere in this polygon warned area, but overall, no major populated areas. It's good. All right, let's come back up here, back to Oklahoma City, and I'm going to switch radar views. All right, so here is what's left. Like I'm saying, it's nothing on radar compared to what it used to be. All right. Time of arrival. You got Valley Brook, Oklahoma City coming up around 1:43, so basically the south side. Let's see, Smith Village and Dell City, Midwest Park, all in that next basically 10 minutes to 15 minutes. And you'll end up with Forest Park, Spencer, 1:53, Jones at 2 o'clock in the morning. Now that would be tracking the leftover circulation center of the storm, not the actual tornado itself, because that thing's gone, it's lifted. We'll see if it redevelops, but it may not. They seem to be having a hard time once they get to about I-40. I see the trend here is starting to kind of weaken. All right, so one down here. There's a good view of the couplet. Okay. Our old tornado warning around Luther, nothing even there. They should have just canceled that one. I guess they decided to let it ride so they could focus on this stuff and not have to worry about it. But that thing's long gone. All right, I don't see anything on this old Newcastle storm. We'll see if it develops, but for right now, looking good. But still be in your shelters until this particular area of circulation passes what's left of it. Let's see, location at this point in time now. Southwest 157th, and let's see, give me a cross street. Oh, Portland again still. All right, so that is our tornado warned storm in the metro, which is not producing a tornado at this point, but stay in your shelters in case it were to redevelop. Let me see here. Our tornado warned storm in Stevens County is actually the strongest one. Probability of tornado is at 89%. So this one is actually producing a pretty significant tornado at this point in time. But I want to show you. Let's see here. This little work site, little farm work site. So it's not like a farmhouse, it's just a storage facility. So right now it's currently where that's located. I don't see any immediate farmhouses. Might be one there. Yeah, it's one there. So there are a couple of farmhouses in the path, but otherwise a lot of open land down here. Let's see. So if you look here, let's see, I'm going to center this up. So it looks like that may have been our significant debris signature. See how much darker and blue it is? Now this is what did not happen in Newcastle, right? That's the difference between a bigger, stronger tornado that hits more debris versus one that's not. You get a stronger signature on radar. And now this one has weakened some and spread out. It's become more diffuse. So that probably initial tornado that caused that probably lifted, dissipated. You probably have another one that's reforming, maybe back in this region. So you might end up having a secondary debris signature that then gets up. Let me see what I got here. Yeah, here's our rotation product, quite strong. It's turned over from yellow to red, and just to give you a frame of reference, we weren't even in the reds for the Newcastle one. I think we went from green to a touch of yellow, and that was it. So this one down here is much stronger. Yeah, if you go with time, here you go. When it was coming to Comanche, you see how strong it got? It went from red to even pink. So this is a rotation product. In other words, the stronger the rotation, the brighter the colors. So as it was in this area, is when it was just obviously hitting what was on the ground and lifting it up and causing that debris signature. And now it's much weaker now than what it was in its track through this region. So you're probably gonna have a lot of trees, shrubs, whatever was down here. There are some trees here in the path that it picked up. So, and where it looks like at least a couple of farmhouses. So unfortunately, hopefully those folks were in their shelters. But that's what's happening down here in southern Oklahoma. So that's a pretty significant tornado that has occurred. All right, let me think. Anything else down here? No. All right, so we'll focus back on the one in the metro. We'll see if that one's done anything new, and it has not. Has still been MIA. I don't see any redevelopment. The probability of a tornado is holding around 26%. I think it was 19 earlier. Let's see, what does it show us? Anything? No. Did you guys set your clocks back so that you're up? Instead of it being 1:30, it's really going to be 12:30. I could use that extra hour since I'm doing this. Alright, so I'm just watching the little edge of this guy here in amber. You see the little arm kind of comes in here like this. Sometimes you get little QLCS tornadoes that develop along the leading edge of a squall line. That's also possible with some of these storms tonight. So you kind of have to watch two different types of development outside of what we're currently looking at, which is standard stuff. Alright, so again, if you woke up, you're like, hey, I heard the sirens here in southern Oklahoma City. What's going on? We had a very weak tornado for a while around the Newcastle area, and then it fell apart just about as fast as it developed. And so we're kind of watching the residual of that storm move to that track to the north-northeast into the greater Oklahoma City area, but it is currently not producing a tornado. So you can be in your shelters, but breathe a big sigh of relief. All right, let's go here. So right now we only have really one tornado warned storm that's actually producing a tornado, and that's the one down here in southern Oklahoma, east of Duncan. We'll go back and look at that here in a second. The leftover circulation that has moved past Newcastle, crossing over the county line and the river. Let's see, closest road I'm going to have for you that's coming up on Southwest 160th and west of May, South May Avenue. So 160th in May, about a mile west of May. And let's see, there's Portland. All right, so halfway between May and Portland, is where that leftover circulation would be. Again, not producing a tornado, but that's what was the area we had been watching for a while. All right, so flash flood warning issued again for Oklahoma City because of the ongoing rain. Again, models had produced quite a bit of rain with this event, upwards of 10 inches overall for the whole system. So obviously that's too much rain. Okay, so let's go down. I'll leave this one focused here on this Newcastle one. Okay, something changes, and we'll go back down to southern Oklahoma. And let's see what we got here. Okay, this thing is still lifted way weaker than what it was. All right, and I think I've lost my debris signature as well. Okay, I'm at 5,000 feet elevation. And we still have broad circulation, but nothing overly tightened. So we may have a situation here where the tornado has lifted, or you have like a funnel left over. All right, anything else in this line? No. Nope. All right, I'll leave that there. I'll come back. Okay, so back in Oklahoma City. Let's see, what do we have? Anything? No. Nope. We're good. Okay. Let's do something a little different while we wait to see if something changes here in the short term. So I'm going to turn that off. We're going to turn on precipitation rates. Okay, so rainfall rates. One of the main reasons, again, why you're having the flash flood warnings at the rainfall rates, when you get into some of these heavier thunderstorms, is up around 4 to 5 inches an hour. So obviously, if that storm sat on top of you for 1 hour and did not move, you could pick up 5 inches of rain. So when you see a computer model that says over the course of 2.5, 3 days of 10 inches of rain in Oklahoma City, then when you see this in an hour, you're thinking, well, obviously that's not too much of a stretch, is it? So that's the situation we're under, and that's why the focus has been on flash flooding for the last few days. Let's see, if we go over just over the last hour. Let's see, this is a 1 hour QPF, I believe. All right, let's see here. So for example, that one storm went through Jones, 1.5, 2 inches of rain. And on the west side of town also 1 to 2 inches. Let's go a little bigger than that. Let's see if this 3 hour works. So 3 hour totals, you're looking at 3 inches, 2 to 3 in this purple area. So look how these streaks are. These big streaks like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down here. That's what I'm saying. Sometimes when you see these in the model output, the model won't be good enough to tell you exactly where those streaks are, but it's going to give you the idea that they're going to occur. And where they do occur, obviously you have problems. So in this particular color scheme, if you see dark blue, you're in the 5-inch category. So south side of Tulsa to Broken Arrow, you guys have had up from you to Veneta 4 to 5 inches in that whole area. This one south of Shawnee, there's some spots up here close to 4. Just a widespread 2 to 3 all over southwest Oklahoma into the metro of Oklahoma City. So there you go. All right. Anyway, just wanted to check on the flooding situation there. Okay, so the warning looks like still continues. Let's see what the new data shows us. I know Del City is sounding their sirens, but I can tell you it's from the old circulation location that's coming closer to you, not because there's been a sighting of a tornado or one located. That's the difference. But stay in your shelters. There's still official tornado warning, even though one has not been spotted, detected, etc. for quite some time. All right, what's this one? Let's see, Norman. All right, everything looks good. No problems. The only official tornado warned storm that's actually had been producing tornadoes for quite a while is this one down now moving into the Bray, Cox City area from the south. That in Stevens County looked like it had done quite a bit of damage to the terrain. It looked like a significant tornado on radar. But it has weakened, though, as it was moving between Duncan and Velma. Let's see here. So it probably just went through some reorganization. And we'll see if it gets its act back together, then re-intensifies and reforms. I don't see anything indicative that there is a current tornado in progress. Location is going to be right along 29, east of, what road is this? So it's Fuqua Lake Road, so west of there by about a mile, and 29 is where that's located. Let's see if, I know what road may show up. This guy may have it. Let's zip down here. Some of these radar programs have better roads than others in the data. Okay. So that was a county road. 2960. Looks like. Yeah. That's it wouldn't show up on my other one. All right, so you may be asking, hey, we were under a severe thunderstorm watch. Why are we getting tornado warnings? It's a good question. The answer is because you can have tornado warnings in a severe thunderstorm watch. Now, that's not ideal. Ideal is to have the watch correspond with the threat, right? Well, when this stuff started first coming out, the tornado threat wasn't there initially. It was just flooding rains, lightning, maybe some occasional hail. So a generic severe thunderstorm watch would cover that pretty well, and or a flash flood watch, which is what they had out. However, there was a couple of isolated storms that had some rotation, like one in Seminole that looks like it may produce a brief tornado earlier this evening. And from that point, the decision was made, I guess, to do a severe thunderstorm watch, because probably they thought that the odds of getting a tornado is pretty limited, pretty low. And but instead, we ended up having 3 tornado-warned storms. So they're going to replace the severe thunderstorm watch with a tornado watch now for central Oklahoma. So on this map here, it has come out, looks like, so I can see it on the colors. So where you see blue, so I'm going to outline this. Where you see blue, this is the tornado watch, or excuse me, the severe thunderstorm watch. Where you see yellow, which is right here, this is the new tornado watch. And this includes Tulsa and looks like Oklahoma City, and then points south and east. So that is a brand new tornado watch. Let's see what this shows. All right, so tornado watch for portions of central and eastern Oklahoma, effective until 9 a.m. A few tornadoes possible, isolated very large hail events up to 2 inches in diameter possible, and isolated damaging wind gusts up to 70 miles per hour. Previously and potentially traumatic supercells over parts of central and southern Oklahoma ultimately will be absorbed by a squall line, which itself will pose a tornado and severe gust threat as it moves into a favorable shear buoyancy environment this morning. The tornado watch is approximately along and 65 statute miles east and west of a line from 40 miles southwest of Ardmore to 15 miles east-northeast of Tulsa. So it means that conditions are favorable for tornadoes. All right, so that is what's happening. That's the latest. So let's zoom in here real quick. For the metro, again, I do not see anything traumatic at this point in time. We will zip down Slaughterville, some wind. Little pockets of wind are starting to show up. Just standard straight line wind, not like traumatic wind. But they're starting to show up more and more in the data. This is our leftover tornadic circulation, which is now north of 29 and County Road 2970, and also what road was this? Poteet. I think it says Poteet. Okay. Probability of a tornado has gone up to 79%. So looks, I think that's gone up. Let me see here. Let me go back a few. No, it's actually gone down. It was 89. So it was holding. Now it's slowly dropping. Okay, so we'll see what happens with this guy down here in southern Oklahoma. That's moving into central Oklahoma. Let's see, this guy has a little bit better view of it. Let me see. I don't have a debris signature, and I do have a stronger rotation product though. If I go back a couple frames, yeah, see, it was weak there, and then got stronger, got very strong here, and it's still strong enough there. Now, did I not get a rotation? I don't see a significant debris signature. Let me see what's out here. Well, there's not really much in the way of trees or anything to hit. It's a little flat. There's some small trees here and there, but not like a big thick region of them. So that might be a limiting factor as to why there wasn't much of a debris signature. Because that rotation signature is pretty strong. If I go back at the velocity data, where am I at? 3,500 feet. I should have seen a better velocity data for that. But regardless, I'm pretty sure you at least have a weak tornado here because of the product strength right here. It just may not be much in the way of debris to pick up currently. Okay, anyway, so in Purdy, you guys should be in your shelters. This is about 1, 2, 3 miles to your southwest, coming your direction. So you'd be in your shelters. Lowest floor, away from all outside walls and windows. Let's see, I don't know if your town will show up on this update. We're going to find out. Yeah, you're not listed. Maysville is at 209, Wayne 220, Purcell 224 for this tornado warned storm. Anyway, it's coming up on State Highway 76, just north of 29 by about 2 miles. We're along County Road 3010. Or if you guys dropped a 0 out there, you'd probably call it 301. Oh, Mike Morgan is in. At 2 in the morning? What's he doing up this time of night? Oh, David Payne's not even in. He's still asleep. Oh. You got Damon Lane in, Mike Morgan. But David Payne's sleeping. Oh, somebody's going to wake him up. You can't be having the Chiefs on there and you're not on there. You can get in trouble for that. You better get up there. They'll be going all night, in the morning. We usually don't get tornado events this time of the day/night, so it's different. And then on the weekends, the main guys obviously don't want to work the weekends, so they can avoid that at all costs. But the news director calls you up and says, "Get your butt to work." You got to do it. So the B team never gets any action because the A team's always taking the action. Luckily for me, I am the A team. If I don't show up, there is no B team. Anyway, all right. So let's see here. Anything new in the metro other than rain? What's this guy doing right here? Where'd he come from? Look at that. Suspicious. It's definitely sus. This guy here, he was sus too, right there, briefly. We may be transitioning to kind of those little baby QLCS type environment tornadoes. Those are a nightmare because they're fast, as in they're there a second, then gone. They don't last long, usually a week. Sometimes the radar can't even see them. They are not fun to track and to predict. Okay, let me take a look at this one here, closer to home. Where was that at? That was in Norman. Oh, it's on top of the radar. That's why I can't see it. Is that? Yeah, I'm on the radar side itself. Okay. Let's go to the other guy then. See what he's got. Okay, so we might have a little circulation trying to develop on top of the Twin Lakes radar NextRad system. And so then if that were to take shape, then we would have a new one up there, and then we've got our old one down here, which is about to get overrun by this squall line coming in from the west. This line right here is moving east, and it's going to interrupt this structure. So it may end up killing this tornado. We'll see what happens. Alright, in the meantime, let's go back up here. Check around. It's a pretty good wind showing up here in the Goldsby area. It's up around 70 miles per hour. Yeah, see, we're getting those pockets of stronger winds now. Anything else? Let's get that off. Okay. Yeah, so that was just a little wind that went right over the radar site. If you were to measure it close, we'll get right in here. 70, 80, 90 miles per hour, 102. That's some big wind. That's this little guy here, which looked sus. Remember that? So anyway, it was in the radar's cone of silence. So radar couldn't see it until it passed over it. Is this a new one? Yeah, so this person was sitting here watching that happen. It says large wall cloud or lowering. So that's our little sus area. And that had the wind speeds quite excessive. Anyway, so that may end up being our new tornado. We'll see what happens with that one. Let's see. It does have a probability of a tornado on it at 58%. Went up from 37, looks like. So that's gone up. Okay. Of course, we still got our one tornado warning storm down here for you guys in Purdy, so stay in your shelters. That hasn't changed. We gave you an update a little while ago. Kind of focused on this guy here to see if he's going to do anything. Let's look aloft. Alright, if so, if we were to have a tornado or at least a spot of straight line winds, it will be working its way up toward Hera, between you guys and Choctaw. So the intersection this is at is coming up on Southeast 59th and Triple X Road, between there and Indian Meridian Road. So that is where this location of wind is going to be, and potential developing tornado. Alright, so the Weather Service is going to now issue a tornado warning for Cleveland and southeast Oklahoma and western Pottawatomie County for this feature right here. They concur with my analysis, therefore they will issue. So we'll see a little red polygon come up here on the screen in just seconds from now. Let's see how this one's looking. Oh, there's our red polygon. All right, let's do a deal on that. Where'd my data went down on that one? Strange. All right. Well, we'll use this one for now. Okay, so National Weather Service to see tornado warning for southwestern Lincoln County, southeastern Oklahoma, northwestern Pottawatomie. Let's see, at 1:58 in the morning, a severe storm capable of producing a tornado was located over southeastern Oklahoma City at near Newcastle, moving northeast at 55. Ooh, they picked up the speed on this. Locations include eastern Oklahoma City, Midwest City, Choctaw, Hera, McLeod, Luther, Wellston, Warwick, Fallis, and Newcastle. Also includes mile marker, let's see, between 163 and 173 on I-40, and also between 150 and 163 on I-44, and between mile marker 14 and 16 on Interstate 240. All right, now, what else do we have? Oh yeah, so this is where we're starting to get our better convergence here. Data is a little corrupted. It's in the ground clutter pattern, so it's going to be hard to see. So the algorithms won't get it too well until it gets out of that little ground clutter pattern on this particular radar view. Let me go to this other one here. This one will have a little bit better. Where'd it go? Problem is it doesn't always update. So it's their experimental radar down in Norman where they just run tests on it. So, but there it is there. So that's a good indication. All right, so this is going to be currently on XXX Road and Southeast 44th Street is the intersection for this particular tornado. So make sure in your storms, shelters. Probability of a tornado has gone up to 75% on this one. So that ramped up here pretty quick. Let me see here. West of there, let's go take a look. Anything else coming back into town? Norman. Looks like you guys have one here as well. So we have a new development for this guy. We back this up. Yeah, so there's that one. So that frame started, and this frame, and then now that frame. It's more wind than potential tornado, but it's pretty strong. It's up around 75 miles per hour. So here in Norman, again, this is now on the east side of 35. So this batch of wind, whether it's tornadic or not, is up around Boyd Street currently. So it's passing just south of Main Street. So Norman being your shelters for this particular area of the storm, which is now, they're going to go ahead and put a tornado warning on it. For northern Cleveland County, northwestern Pottawatomie, west central McLean, severe storm capable of producing a tornado is located over southwestern Norman, or about 4 miles north of Goldsby, moving east at 45. So we've got southeastern Oklahoma City, Norman, Moore, Newcastle, Tecumseh, Noble, Slaughterville, Pink, Goldsby, Tribby, Etowah, Brooksville, Macomb, Stella, Lake Thunderbird, Bethel Acres, and Little Axe. Also includes Interstate 35 between mile markers 98 and 116. So you need to be in your shelter for both of these tornadic thunderstorms. So we actually have 3 tornado warned storms now. The one at Purdy, you guys have known about here for a while, stay in your shelters. And between Lindsay and Maysville, stay in your shelters because that'll be heading up toward your area next. All right. And then now in Norman, on the south side of Norman, just on the south end of Main Street, actually. Let's see, the next intersection will be up on 77, and let's see, we've got Farrell Street, Miller Lane, Monette Avenue, East Duffy Street, West Boyd Street. So that's where that patch of wind is going to be. Again, it's not like a couplet for a tornado. It's just a batch of wind. So it may not end up being a tornado, but it may end up being some tornado-like damage from straight line winds. All right, and then we've got this guy here for Moore. This is a new one. All right, this one's, they're just going to start warning on these little QLCS type developments. So that if they see a little enhancement in wind, whether it has a good couplet signature or not, I think they're just going to start rapid firing warning out of it just because. So this will be in Moore. All right, so this will be on the west side of 35, and you need to be in your shelters. So if you live in Moore, this is right along 37. Okay, so right through 37, just be right in your shelters. So guys in Norman, be in your shelters. Guys in Moore, be in your shelters. And then back over here to Hera and Choctaw, between you guys, be in your shelters. That's coming right up 62 in the Kickapoo. So right up on the turnpike. So you're probably a lot of sirens going off in all these communities. Probability of a tornado is at 79% on the one that's in Choctaw and Hera. The one that's in Norman's 21% and Moore is 9%. But again, I think they're just going to be overly cautious at this point. Yeah, so none of these are any strong like couplets, like tornado couplets, but they are wind regions within the storm. And the wind regions in these little blue areas here, it's around 78 miles per hour, so that's a lot of wind. Let me see if this data's come back in yet. Okay, good. All right, so for example, you see a little blue area here on this map, like up around 80 miles per hour. This is coming back over up to Twin Lakes. So this could easily be another tornado type warning storm. Which kind of gives you an idea. So here's that one for Hera in Choctaw. So this is a pretty strong cup. It's actually the strongest cup that we have in our closest vicinity. Some of this data is going to be corrupted, so it's not going to give me the best readouts. But we are looking at along 62 and Luther Road. So this particular tornado here will then move up to, let's see, it's going to be moving north of Hera. So stay on Hera Road, and it looks like northeast 50th Street. So that's where this is going to go, basically kind of like that. So be in your shelters if you live in the Hera area and East Choctaw. All right, and then we have, again, the one, let's see, this radar view right around Moore and 35, around 37. It's this little spot here, very weak, but that is where that circulation would be. And then the one that was going through Norman, so that initial spot looks like it's lifted, and what we have here is this guy that's got a little enhancement in wind, and that's the one that was up around 80 miles per hour. That's on Indian Hills Road and 120th Avenue northeast. So that's where that's located. So those are your three trouble spots here in the metro, and then way down here in Maysville, right along Highway 19, and let's see, where are we at here? East of, it's not going to give me that road on this map. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 miles west of Maysville on 19 is where that other one's going to be located. All right, so that's what we have going on right now, tornadic wise. So this one here is a tight, well-defined tornado northwest of Hera. Luther Road, between Luther Road and about a half mile to a mile east of Luther Road on 62, just north of 62, and 36th Street, northeast 36. That's where that tornado is located. Let's see, it does have a debris ball. That's where this area here is, where it's turned over to blue. So that's our debris signature. So it did hit, is doing some damage. And matter of fact, if you look at the reflectivity, you do see an enhancement in the reflectivity. So the gradient's gone up to around 60 dBz. We call it a debris ball in the reflectivity value, so which means that's another confirmation that is a tornado there. So that's a pretty significant tornado at that one in the Hera area. Let me see here. Anything else? Those other regions, again, not exactly tornadic. I think they were just more pockets of straight line winds that went through the Norman area and still going through more. These winds down here are still, I think, up around 70 plus. They're 70 to 80 in these little blue areas. And this is Indian Hills Road again, just south of Stella Road, up around Tecumseh, Franklin, and who else? Just east of 120th Avenue, northeast. So that's that little stretch of wind there. And then back here for more, that little weak convergence zone riding right along 37, coming up on 77. So that's where that is. It's very, very weak though, but that's where that other spot was located. But you can tell the difference, right? You can see what I'm talking about. You have a very broad color scheme here and here, nothing tightly wound. You have just a one color here, but if you look up here, you have that very tight couplet of the green and red toward each other. So that is where you have your differences in your velocity data for the strength of your circulation features. Now we may end up getting something better organized here, just not currently at this moment. Let's see, there has been some residential damage near Southeast 29th and Triple X Road being reported. All right, so those are our two areas here in the metro we're watching. I'm going to switch radar views. Okay, so for this one in the Hera, north of Hera, so there's our rotation product like we had, remember, in southern Oklahoma. It went to the pink area, which means it's very significant. If we look at the cross correlation coefficient, CC, for debris signature from the tornado, has our blue area. So obviously this one's doing some damage. If we do look underneath the radar and we zoom in, it is hitting this large area of trees right now. So that's what's causing that big indication in the NextRad dual pole algorithms. And if you do look, there were a ton of farmhouses that this particular tornado did go across. Hopefully those folks were in their shelters and they're okay. So there are obviously a few things here that tornado was able to pick up on. So there's our continuing tornado here. Let's do this, close that. This is an update to that warning. So the tornado warning remains in effect. A confirmed large and dangerous tornado located 4 miles northeast of Hera, moving northeast at 50 miles per hour. So obviously take shelter, lowest floor, away from all outside walls and windows. The impacted areas is Choctaw, Hera, McLeod, Luther, Wellston, Warwick, and Fallis. The includes Interstate 44 between mile marker 150th and 163. So that's the tornado warning storm. We have confirmation that it is doing damage based off of Doppler radar, dual pole products, and also visual confirmation as well. Okay, so that is our significant tornado in the metro region. If we work our way down south, let me flip back over to wind for velocity data. Let's see, we'll keep an eye on this little area of the cloud, see if anything changes with that one. Or pink or Etowah right now, not necessarily. And then down here, Maysville, still got this little convergence zone here on 24, just north of Maysville, a couple of miles. Not nearly as strong as it used to be. But this is the one that is southwest of Wayne, and it'll be heading in this direction. So Wayne being your shelters. Let's see. We have a new little circulation back here northwest of Foster on 29 and between you and Purdy. And let's see here. This is on North Road 3085. Okay. So that may be another little QLCS tornado that may be developing there. As you can tell, this is along the leading edge of the squall line. So this is our squall line right here, and so we're getting little eddies that are developing along the squall line. They may turn into something, they may not. They may last, a bit, or they may just be here and gone. All right, so our really only significant confirmed tornado that we have right now is this one that is north of Hera. 1, 2, 3 miles, 4 miles. New update just came in. Intersection for this looks like east of the County Line Road, so east of North Potawatomi Road, and between there and Pinecrest Road on East Britain Road. So that is where this traffic circulation resides. You still have your swath of your debris ball signature. This is your actual debris ball and reflectivity on the left. This is the traumatic debris signature on the right. This is our rotation product. So still confirmation. And if you look underneath and I zoom in, again there's some houses here. There's a lot of trees. So this looks like a pretty dense tree region with at least a few farmhouses in the way. So again, hopefully those folks are okay and they sought shelter. Again, on the tornado warning, it's always the lowest floor, away from all outside walls and windows. The idea is to separate you from the outside as much as possible with as number of walls you can put up there. You can always grab a mattress off the bed, you can get in the bathtub, you can get a closet, whatever is the center part of your home that gives you the best protection. It can be a stairwell. For kids and stuff, we always tell them, parents, put the sporting gear on them, right? Put the helmets and pads on them. It's basically just anything to help prevent debris from causing injuries, which is what most injuries are from tornadoes. Okay, so we still got a pretty good TVS signature on this. Estimates are a potential estimate of a EF3 in the data. So this is our three-dimensional view, and this is our rotation column. This is where your tornado is located. See how it tilts? So it tilts up like this into the storm, into the updraft. Let's see, I believe I should be able to do this. If I caught it. And I'm going to get a little closer. Okay, now we can tell sometimes, obviously, how strong the tornado may be as to how much the debris gets lofted in the air. So we know that this little spot down here was the debris. It did not get lofted several thousand feet yet. In those really big tornadoes that we have in the spring, we often see that. So hopefully it's a good sign that it was on the weaker side of things, but we'll see. Alright, so we still have confirmation on Doppler radar of this tornado ongoing. Product still indicated, debris still signature still there, the velocity data is still there. Let's update the velocity speed on this. Looks like a updated warning information. So we'll see what that says here. Let's see, 217. Okay, so the Potawatomi tornado warning was canceled, and it remains in effect for west central Lincoln and east central Oklahoma counties until let's see, 2:30. So again, confirmed large and dangerous tornado located 6 miles south of Wellston, moving northeast at 55 miles per hour. So we've got Luther, Wellston, Warwick, and Fallis. Mile markers 150th and 163 on Interstate 44 is in the path of this as well. Okay, so this is our tornado warned storm that is moving east of the metro. Let's see, latest roadways, Hidden Canyon Road and 122nd Street. So that's where that's located. That'll come right up into Warwick, looks like, between you and Wellston on 66 and 77, probably just west of that intersection. So we're probably looking, let's see, what road is this? North Road 3350, and then you have Fowler Road or 3340. So kind of between those two. But again, pretty close to the center part of Wellston. So you guys need to be in your shelters for this tornado warned storm to move past you. Let me see if there's anything else after that one. All right, so we've kind of moved into a squall line configuration. It undercut and took over the other storms that were along here, kind of undercut their updrafts. So in other words, that's just turned into more of a straight line wind. You still can get those little QLCS, baby tornadoes that lead up along the leading edge, but you may not even sometimes know it. If the straight line winds comes in right afterwards, you wouldn't even know it was a tornado, because then you get hit with 60 or 80 mile per hour winds from the west, and then it does the same amount of damage. But you can, in theory, get a little baby tornado there and a baby tornado there, followed by just a straight line wind anyway from the thunderstorm itself. But that's kind of how that works, the leading edge of a squall line. So that's kind of this configuration, how that's kind of taking shape. On the northern fringe is where you have the better mid-level bookend vortex that develops, and that gives you a little bit extra spin in the atmosphere. And since we happen to have this isolated individual supercell by itself, before that line, the line was kind of to the south of it, so it's kind of routing on the northern fringe. So it's allowed to have this little hook echo, little ball here, right, for its shape, and so it has the ability to produce this pretty significant tornado. All right, now the last data points just came in, and the velocity data has really fallen apart over the last scan compared to the ones prior. If you look at our tornado product, it's much weaker. Remember, it had pink and red earlier. Now it's just down to the golden color. As far as the debris signature goes, it's still there, but look how much more wide it is over area. It means kind of it's spread out. It also, we have a lot less blue on there, and mainly just green. So this tells me that usually in this case it's weaker. It's not hitting anything to pick up. Now if you can verify that by looking underneath, and I still see some trees in this area, so it does have trees to pick up that it should have been detected fairly well. So could be though that we're at a point where it's weakening so much that maybe it's lifting. That would be some good news, but for right now, that's the area where that tornado is still located. And I'm going to flip this on a one panel. So back to one panel, just the reflectivity, because I want to run this three-dimensional view of it, and I want to look at the cross section. So again, this is our column here. This is our tornado here. It goes up into the atmosphere up to about 20,000 feet. So we should have some debris lofted pretty good on our data set. So let's do this. Oops, get that out of there. Let's try this out. Didn't get that one. Yeah, so most of the debris was actually kept very low in the first couple thousand feet. It's not really being picked up and carried off to, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10,000 feet. It's not up here. It's all concentrated right down near ground level. So I'm hoping that indicates that even though the velocity is pretty significant, that it wasn't as intense as it could have been. All right, so let's go back to what's currently. So it's riding on the turnpike at this point and 77 coming out of Wellston. We should have an update here. Yeah, that one's coming in now. I'm going to switch to this radar view here. Yeah, so here's still our debris ball, and this is our couplet. Not nearly as intense as before, but definitely still there. Our little, let's go back up here. From that was when it was from Hera. So Wellston. Yeah, it's not re-intensifying yet. So that was a few moments ago, and now on the current view, still a little weaker. So that's good. Has not re-intensified, so it may just be on a dying out trend here quickly. That's what it looks like to me. Let's see, I haven't done this one in a while. Let's see what this one looks like. Paul's Valley, you'll have some straight line winds, looks like, coming at you from that squall line. And straight line winds in this environment can be 60 to 80 miles per hour. Alright, I don't see anything else other than our guy here, and it's, again, not nearly like it used to be. So that's good. Let's see, let's launch that again. My guy here. Yeah, so that leftover area is right on the turnpike and 177. Let me see anything else. Now things are calming down across the greater Oklahoma City metro. It's getting a lot quieter now. Let's see. Yeah, so there's our intersection 177 and 44, and it's nowhere near what it was. So that thing's pretty much dead and gone, which is good. Some damage reported in the Goldsby area from earlier. Let's see. All right, well that thing's falling apart. So now we're going to be in probably a transition to wind things down. Hopefully, general terms, since we've got now more of a squall line and no more of these individual supercells that are out ahead of it. Sirens are being activated in Chandler as a result of this. Now, just to give you perspective, Chandler, this leftover circulation is over Warwick, west of you, so there's no way in the world it would affect you. Now, you might still get some wind just in general from just storm itself moving around your region, but that particular tornado-warned spot will not be an immediate impact. Let's see, down the line. Between Paoli and Paul's Valley is the one little area. You might have some monkey business going on down there. That's it. The stuff really wound down really quick. Okay. What's this guy doing? So on Squall line, you have to watch sometimes these little arms that come out. Sometimes those can be little QLCS trails that develop really quick. But there's no velocity at this point to coincide with it. So this is that little notch for Paola and Paul's Valley. I always say Paoli. I know it's Paola. My brain sees the I and just says, I'm just calling it Paoli. I'm like, but it's Paola. They put an in it. And my brain just doesn't want to do it. All right, let's see. So anyway, so this little hump with the inflow band here, that's usually where you would find, because there's your inbound, this is your outbound, and so you end up with a little quick spinner, little QLCS tornadoes, which you'd get there. And they won't always show up on radar very good, but that would be the location if that were to happen. Let's see. Weather Service just said the same thing. How about that? All right, so that's the next kind of hot spot to look for. Beyond that, standard stuff down there in far southern Oklahoma. And stuff up here, like I said, a lot different from what it was from 20 minutes ago. Let's see, there's some pockets, some good wind here for you guys in Chandler. Here I'll show you the readout, active readout, 60 to 70 or 70 miles per hour. So again, not related to the tornado, just related to the fact it's just a strong thunderstorm wind area. But again, if you're underneath this tornado warned storm, obviously you want to stay in your shelters until the storm is completely past you. Let's see. This thing is still going to go until 3 o'clock in the morning. Storm capable of producing a tornado is located near Wellston, moving northeast at 50 miles per hour. So Chandler, Wellston, Kearney, Tryon, Agra, Warwick, Kendrick, Fallis, and Parkland. So that was the older warning language on it, but it's has since lifted about 10 minutes ago. I want to welcome you guys on Instagram. I don't know how you find the live broadcast, honestly, because I couldn't even find it on my phone. So the wife said it just kind of shows up in your news feed or something, and that's it. It's the only way you can see it. So I'm not sure, but it is working. I see it over there. Okay. Let me see if that southwest radar has the pulse valve at a different angle. It's too far away, 10,000 feet. Okay, anything else down here? Nope. So we can really kind of get rid of this radar then. I'm just going to close that one. Alright, let's go to Twin Lakes. What we got here? Let me update my speed. So the leftover area of that circulation, that's between Kearney and Chandler and northeast of Warwick, is on County Road 3390 and East Road 860. 3390 and 860. Now, it's nothing tornadic, that's just where what was left of the tornado, the circulation field of the storm, is located. I don't anticipate a redevelopment, at least anytime soon. Watch it for a few more minutes. The best potential wind damage for a little bit of tomfoolery is down here on 133 and East Road 1510, County Line Road, southwest of Byers, by about 3 miles, 4 miles, and then due east of Paola by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 miles. So there's a little wind there. Coming up on Highway 19 and 133. That's it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just watching for a couple more minutes for this little area down here in the Paul's Valley region. And our leftover guy up here. And then assuming that neither one of those does anything significant, I will probably sign off. This has gone into just a squall line at this point that will continue to march slowly east into southeast Oklahoma for the rest of the night. And you guys in Tulsa will be getting the kind of the northern fringe of this. Now I will say this, the northern fringe, so let me see what I want to use. Maybe use this one. Let's use this one. Okay. So this here is what we call our bookend vortex. So what we have, let's go with this color. So you end up getting this little wraparound, basically like a pseudo area of low pressure, right? And then below the low, you get this squall line that pushes out across. And in this process, in this area, you have better overall wind shear in the atmosphere to work with. In other words, it's just a little bit better oriented directional shear and speed shear. And because it's not bounded by this hand holding of a line that happens here, where all these updrafts fight one another, you're kind of in this little sweet spot zone to where you have an inflow of untapped, unstable air that can feed into it. And so in theory, if you can still maintain some type of pseudo supercell hybrid structure, or at least maintain a little bit better spinning motion, then your ability to get maybe another tornado is better in this region than it is elsewhere for something that would be more significant. Now, as this line moves basically to the east and drift to the northeast, that would put this region that we're talking about kind of in the Tulsa area and northeast Oklahoma a little bit, from around Okmulgee points north, right? So when you get south of there, this guy here, this is your standard squall line, which is usually straight line winds in this part, okay? And then you can get a little QLCS eddy, like little baby tornadoes. And those things could just, at any point in time, could just develop really fast along leading edge. And they're weak ones. They don't last very long. Anytime you get like a little inflow, a little notch in the line. Doesn't always happen. You have to have some decent shear vectors that are perpendicular to one another. But it can happen. But otherwise, it's kind of like the more of a favored area to try to get something later on, that would work through. So it's not a guarantee. It's just a more favored area, and that's the way it is. But this thing going all night. It'll be really slow. So, but there you have it. Okay. Let's see if there's anything else I want to look at. So buyers, they're kind of in that little zone of a little wind. Let's see, let's get off of there. Like Meeker. See this little guy here, these little notches. Get rid of that guy. Sometimes you get something that just kind of curls in, feeds in right here, and then just does a little spin for like just a second, and it's done. Let me see what else. That's it. And our leftover circulation mess is so long gone, it's not even there. All right, so I think that's gonna be it for me. I don't see anything else that has my attention, and I really don't expect anything to get too crazy. I think maybe a freak occurrence from this point forward. Isolated tornado. It's possible probably for the rest of the overnight and early tomorrow morning until this line moves through. But that's about it. So I'm going to go ahead and get out of here, but I do appreciate you guys tuning in this evening. Standard stuff otherwise. Some flash flooding, though, is a big threat. We'll have more rain tomorrow and more severe weather. I think actually probably a better opportunity for tornadic storms in the data Sunday, and I think even into Monday across parts of the state. So Monday, I think it's basically the eastern half, I-35 east, and then Sunday, I think it was 2/3 of the state, maybe a larger area. But anyway, so I'll be looking at stuff for tomorrow when I get up in the morning, and probably might do another update sometime during the day. We'll see how it goes. I may just have to do live coverage. I really don't know. Try to do some other stuff, but I'll keep an eye on things over the weekend and get on when I can. But hey, thanks for tuning in, and I hope everybody was safe tonight, and hope you didn't get hit too hard if you did get hit by one of those tornadoes. And we'll do this again tomorrow. All right, guys, be good. Take care.